Truth be told, when I wonder what the future holds, it takes me out of the present. New moon waxing, full moon waning, crescent. Life cycles, teammates or rivals. Soul search later as World War III, the goal's always survival. That's nature, day you're born when you meet your maker. Tears start chasing paper, burning trees or melting glaciers. But truth be told, when I wonder what the future holds, it's impossible to process, so I stay focused on my progress.
Welcome to episode 17 of our Triple Captains. Yes, I'm in the middle. I know. You're all surprised. I get it. It's been a long road. It's been many weeks. But I'm here. But I'm not going to boast too much. I'm not going to get too, leery. It's nothing to kind of get excited about. Hopefully, it's the beginning of a long road. But before I get into all that, let me say a warm welcome to my co-hosts, Hots, Arc. How we doing? Talk to me. Hots first.
Boy, I'm pissed. Totally pissed. When I start, I'm ill. My team lost on the weekend. I decided after having 3 green arrows in a row to get rid of my free hit because I don't value the chip. And with all the choices and everything I could do, it didn't work out, to say the least. I suppose when we touch on teams, if we do, I'll elaborate. But yeah, overall, total dead weekend. And not only that, but I'm ill and I'm on call. So it's just a long week ahead as well. Over to Arc. Nothing more from me.
Boy.
Statman talk.
Yeah.
What one?
Yeah. Disappointing week. Obviously, Haaland blanking created a bit of a ripple. And if you didn't have the relative players to support underneath, it was a long day. And unfortunately for me, it was a long day. So...
Humbug, indeed. Yeah, look, I mean, Haaland is, he hasn't been doing stuff the last few game weeks, and it's hurt a lot of managers around FPL. But we'll come on to that later on in the show, I'm sure, when we talk about our teams. But, I think we'll start at the very beginning here and look at our little league table and see how we're doing. I mean, again, nothing to celebrate from my side of things, but 2 on the board now for me. Obviously, Hot is way out in front still. A long way to go. As the title suggests, a very hollow win. Doesn't really feel very celebratory on my part, given how tight the scores were. But hey, I'll take the win, and we move on. So, I guess the first place to start, really, guys, is the game week. The big game. Obviously, Hot's just touching it with Arsenal Villa. Everyone who watches the show right now will probably know that we're all Arsenal fans. Hot, to come to you first, I guess. I mean, how did you see the game? What went wrong for Arsenal? How do you think it's going to affect Arsenal going forward? What's your thoughts overall?
But obviously, disappointing result. Not sure where to start, really. I'll answer the last question first. I think we can bounce back. Obviously, we got Wolves. I'm expecting a battering. And then hopefully we go on another run. It's always going to come. We had a long run of being undefeated, so, all good things must come to an end, but it was still disappointed in the way it happened. Dying seconds and shit. Unfortunate to give away that corner, but I don't want to point blame because we've got loads of centre backs out. The centre backs that have been filling this void have done okay, and people make mistakes. I don't know, I'm just pissed. Just want to get onto Wolves, win, even the Champions League as well, but back to the league and just win, and just hope Palace can do something against City so the gap can open up a little bit because it's very tight now. So yeah, that's what I've got to really say on the Arsenal game. A few days have gone past, so it's not been on my mind. Like I said, I've been ill, bit of stuff going on. So, but yeah, that's my views.
I mean, I'll come to you, Ark. I mean, are you at all at this point concerned about us offensively? I mean, you know, obviously we're a good team. You know, I don't want to make it sound as if we're terrible offensively. We're one of the highest scorers in the league, so it's not all bad, right? But I mean, with our defense has been obviously the backbone to this team, so to speak, and in games like this when you kind of need to be more clinical. I mean, are you somewhat concerned about the lack of chances that we're creating from Saka in particular? I mean, how do you feel about Arsenal right now offensively?
Well, look, listen, from my point of view, I'm not concerned about us from an attacking perspective yet. With regards to Saka's got really good underlying data. He's underperforming against where he should be from an XG point of view. So I don't look at him and think, oh, he's not doing what he needs to do. He's still creating big chances. He's still getting himself into positions. He just hasn't been clinical enough recently. I do have some concerns, but more about the overall fluidity of the team. So with the attack, last week I was very clear. I felt that we needed to go into that Villa game with a striker, and not Marino. And it's not because I've got anything against Marino. I quite like him. I think that he is a very intelligent player, but he's a workhorse with that intelligence. And also, when you play him and you play an Erdegaard and you play a Zubimendi, and you've got a lot of players that are dropping extremely deep, trying to do things with the ball. So therefore, you need runners. You need something from the whip. Now, the signings that we made in the summer were for exactly this, making sure that we had more of a vertical attack where needs be. And I felt that the lineup that he went for on Saturday was incorrect. It wasn't going to do the job that it needed to do. I felt that we lost control and we let things get to us. But I don't think that was necessarily because we had the wrong players on the pitch. I just think there was a balance of injuries, fatigue that you could see in some of the players, and then some players just looked out of form on the day, which can happen, right? Unfortunately, what you try to do is you try and make sure that, or how I've always coached players is to say, look, you've got to win your battles. You've got to win your battles first, win your right, dominate your player, then the next player will dominate his player, etc., and then you will move forwards. But that wasn't present on Saturday. Obviously, halftime came, he had the conversation with them and so on. But even some of the substitutions that came afterwards, I wasn't completely happy with. Because we've got some players that are not necessarily the highest level IQ, which is what you need when you're in this kind of match. And to be honest with you, the goal that we conceded at the end, like I've looked back at it a number of times, and it's almost like it was just written in the stars for it to happen. Because when you look back at it, we actually did a couple of, not even a couple, I think it's 3, I counted, last ditch tackles and blocks that usually the ball would be away from that point, but somehow it still managed to smuggle out and get to somebody, and obviously the goal happened. Thank you, Kano. And in addition to all of that, to be brutally honest, like I don't want to get onto him. We had an 18-game unbeaten run that ended with our roving captain coming back. That's the reality of things. I understand that we've got a lot of sensitive Arsenal supporters that don't like to hear the reality of things, but that is what has happened. He also, like in some parts, he did good things, but in other parts, I think it shows the impact that he will have on the team. And like I said, we haven't really gelled properly yet, and I think that was evident. So, for instance, it's like a Zubimendi has got an average of about 75, 77 touches per game. Saturday, he had 55. Like, there were many instances where you saw that actually Erdegaard's dropping to where Zubimendi is to pick up the ball, and they're both there. And you're like, okay, so how are we going to attack? Like, what are we going to do here? Because we're missing players. And so I think they've just got to work it out. Obviously, Eze had a horrendous game also at the weekend. I'm not with all of the he can't play on the left or he should be playing in the middle more, yada, yada, yada. Like, yes, there have been games where he's done very well in the middle. But equally, there have been times that he's played in the middle where he's kind of a passenger at the same time. And the reality is nearly every other manager has played as a left wing and he's been fine and he's done his thing. I think people have to respect and understand it's a step up coming to an Arsenal. Like, there are different things that are required of you that he probably wasn't required to do in other places, and it's having an effect and an impact. And I still think that he's kind of in awe of where he is, where he needs to actually just accept that this is my new home, and he needs to write himself into history, not just be there as a passenger because, oh, I was in a good team, so therefore this happens or that happens. So I want to see more from him, but he can absolutely play left wing. It's just a situation of loads of things transpired over the weekend that meant as a team we didn't function or do what we usually need to do. I don't want to get started on Gyökeres. You know, he again is also just back from injury, and I think he even got injured whilst he was coming back. So it's one of those things. He's rusty. Like, you've got to platform players in the right way. I don't think that they were platformed in the best way on Saturday when all of them were on. That said, will we make a comeback? Yes. I'm not one of these fans. I remember a couple of weeks ago, I did talk about the fact that we're going to go through a difficult period now. So I expect to see a lot of crash outs from people. I think I even included you, Guffs. But the reality is, I think that it will be a bumpy road. It's almost like people have forgotten what it's like to be in the title race. Like, you will have these kinds of things, and you know, that's the reality of it. That's the fun, right? And then we get to the end and we see where we are.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into too much about it. I think that I'll say a few minor things. I think the first thing is that I think it just felt a little bit like maybe one game too far for us. That's how it felt to me. Like, you know, we've had some tough games. Yes, the North London derby was an easy win for us, but nevertheless, the emotion going into the game, and it's North London derby. There's an effect that obviously comes from playing that game. And look, Aston Villa are the form team in the league, and you know, it's not a shame to go to a ground like Aston Villa, which we struggle with anyway, and lose a game of football. You know, many teams will go there and drop points, and unfortunately, on the day, we drop points. I thought maybe the fair result probably was a draw, albeit Villa had some good chances. They had Watkins in the first half. Marlon had a chance that was close as well. So they had good chances in the game, to be fair to them. But I think if the game finished 1-1, I think that would have been a fair result, quite frankly. I don't think we've done enough to necessarily win the game. But look, we've got a lot of injuries. And I think that, you know, if we were just to sort of look at this from afar and assess the amount of injuries that we've had from the start of the season to now, which has been a lot, and yet we're here top of the league, you know, taking a macro view, we're doing pretty well.
To your point that you just made about us and injuries, we are effectively at the same level of injuries as we were last season, where for the majority of the season we only played with 65% of our squad available to us. The difference this year is that obviously we've got a bit more depth to what we had last year. That said, as you know, like, we're starting off with our fourth and fifth centre backs. Even we're playing a centre back that's not even a centre back. Like, you're going to struggle. Any team would, but you would, especially with the two that we've got missing. Like, they're the two best centre backs in the world right now on form, and in terms of what they do. So, but it's not about excuses, as you said. Like, we will lose games. Like,
it's not about excuses for me, and I think that. I think the disconnect that exists within the Arsenal fan base is there are people, and I include myself in this, who want to see a sort of certain type of football, right? And I think that's born from what we've seen from my formative years, seeing the likes of Henry and seeing the great football we played and the power and the pace and the speed and the skill. And the way we're set up and platformed right now is we just don't play that way. That's not Arteta how he wants to play, right? He has a very different
But
style.
that's just not how football is anymore, is it? Like,
Well,
it's changed.
it has changed. It has changed, but I think Arteta has his style, and you know what? I don't mind. As long as we're winning, then I'm cool with it. But like I said, I don't want to go too deep into it because I think it was just one of those games where Villa, could happen and it happened. Villa have won 9 out of 10 now. We've always found it tough at Villa Park. But to Hotz's point, we go again in it. Like we've now got to go in another long run, and hopefully we can just open it up again. And some people, in our little other groups may look at me as one of the crash out people, and fine. For me, when I crash out, it's when I sort of see patterns. That's when I start to kind of get a bit disgruntled. At this point in time, it's just an isolated game, and they won. Good luck to them. But we need to obviously dust ourselves off, and more importantly, get some players back fit. Because I've always said, particularly this season, that our biggest challenger is not Man City or Liverpool, Villa. Our biggest challenger is health. I think once we put our best team...
You're starting to sound like me.
Well, I'm me. I'm just, say it better. But like...
Not really. We spent 2 years of me telling you that if Arsenal are fit, they'll win the league, and you crying and saying, no, that's not the case. But now it is that, if we're healthy, we'll be all right.
Health is our biggest barrier right now. I think we put our best team on the pitch, then I think we're the best team in the league.
Let me say two things, really. Firstly,
Number one,
the centre backs wasn't the issue in the game. It was the error of one of the centre backs that caused that goal in the end. So that's why I'm not concerned about us defensively, because it was an error that led to that winning goal for them. So even though we have got our defence out, it's shown that we did enough to get a draw out of it if we didn't make that mistake. But offensively, which is my second point, I want us to batter Wolves, because as we've both been saying it a bit, we haven't been super convincing up top for whatever reason, whether it's gelling, whether it's Gyökeres is new, whether it's whatever the reasons are. Even Starboy, who's has been a bit off. So hopefully Wolves, who are a team that gets battered, we batter them. I don't want to go there and win 2-0. That's not going to satisfy. I want a proper response, and I don't think nothing else is acceptable in my opinion. But we'll see. We don't know what squad he'll put out there as well, so, and who will be fit. So, but anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so that said, I guess let's get on to our actual FPL teams. It's obviously an FPL podcast, so I mean, it's very rare this happens, but the bottom person, which is you today, Hots, let's go through your team and see what went wrong.
I thought you was going to say that with a bit more vim. But maybe you well and truly have been humbled this year, Gus.
No. Before you try to upstage me on my time. I'm a humble guy. I keep saying this in the show. I'll say from day one, if my truth upsets people, then that's for the person to take. But like,
I'm copywriting a lot of what I say.
But yeah, Hots, talk to me, bruv. Talk to me. What happened?
Catastrophe. Like I said, I had 3 green arrows, 1 chip left. And it was the free hit chip, the chip that I don't value. Arc actually asked me a question saying if I had a chip, would I consider not using it and just letting it die out? I still wouldn't. I still think if you've got a chip, use it. But in this occasion, I wish I did it. I had players that I was thinking to put in that I didn't, and they did well. And the choices I made went against me, even though I'm only maybe 5 points or whatever roughly away from you to be hosting. overall it's a big disappointment for me. Kept Raya. I wanted to do the double up with Newcastle. Hall was benched. Newcastle let Burnley score past them, so the double with Livramento and Hall was pointless. They both got me one. I decided to keep Munoz and drop Gay because I said there's no point keeping two Palace. I believe they will concede. They did concede, I was right, but Munoz wasn't nowhere to be seen, and Gay wasn't in my squad because I picked one Palace and he went on and scored, so got mugged off there. Gakpo did nothing. Saka might as well say nothing. And Bomo got his goal, but everyone's got him, so I didn't really count him. Foden was the only thing that was good about my free hit, but he was always going to be in my free hit anyway. And if I didn't free hit, I would have put him in my squad because I was going to take a -4. If I took the -4, I would have done better because my original team before the free hit, when Munoz would have been out, I would have got Senesi off bench. But again, I didn't get Senesi off bench because he wasn't in my team either. And I got, what's his name? Nicolelli from Sunderland, who got me a 1. So it's absolutely pathetic all round. And I had Haaland and Thiago. And everyone knows what's happened there. So yeah, overall, just disappointing. Just
but out of curiosity, do you know what your actual your normal team would have got? I mean, was it got much more than you got this game week? I mean, how did it compare? Did you do the maths?
No, I didn't do the maths, but I know it would have been better off with the other team by a little bit. I don't think it will be by a mega margin. But like I said, I'm not much points behind you in regards to hosting, not as in overall points. So maybe if I did keep my original team, I would be hosting today because when Munoz is out, I would have got Senesi off the bench. So that's immediately an A. If I had my original team, I would have had Gay. So I wouldn't have had the Sunderland youth come in. So again, he scored. But who cares now? I take it. The chip's gone. So I'm happy it's gone. You've got to host. And yeah, I take my L and I just move forward, innit? Yeah. That's about it.
Where are you this week? I mean, obviously we were very close this game week. Literally 1 point separated the two of us. I mean, how did you feel about this game week?
Yeah, it was a mix of good fortune and opportunities not doing what I would have wanted them to, I guess. So, for instance, I spoke last week about the fact that I wanted to change the goalkeeper because of the form that Middlesex are in. And ultimately, when you look at the data around Vicario, for his price, he's not really value for money.
Yeah.
In terms of big saves, etc., that he does. The game against Burnley with Newcastle looks like an ideal opportunity. And I remember at one point, I had effectively sewn it up and thought, yep, that's gone well. I think that was in the 94th minute. Little did I know that there were another 2 to 3 minutes added on, and that's where they conceded the goal. So ultimately, it meant that I had a net loss with regards to the transfer in, because Vicario obviously did get a clean sheet. Outside of that, I was fortunate with Diouf because he came off the bench after the Munoz news that he wasn't available, and likewise with Senesi, I was fortunate in terms of he got subbed off before they conceded, so that was good from that perspective. I knew that Voltamade and Thiago, I was unlikely to get much from them, but wasn't prepared to do any transfers, etc. As we spoke last week, was never going to do a minus, knowing that there are 5 free hits to come in. The Haaland thing obviously hit me as it hit everybody else. Semenyo, yeah, that's definitely one on the watch list as it stands. In Bumio, great that he done what he did, but he's off now, obviously. And for all of the hype and PR that was around Enzo, he's effectively done one thing for me since I've brought him in. His underlying data is good. I think that he will now be impacted a lot by the fact that Palmer is back. So he'll probably play deeper. He'll also be off of pens, which was one of the reasons why I pulled him in. Fortunately, in that period, he hasn't got a penalty. So, yeah, it's a zero-sum game situation. So definitely a few areas for me to tinker with. Udogi was in my original lineup. But again, he didn't play. So hence, Senesi came off the bench for me. Yeah, so that's where we are.
Are you itching to make changes in terms of like big changes now? Because I mean, you know, you spoke a lot about in the past about Diop as mostly wanting in your team weeks ago, and maybe going forward you don't. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, but
Yeah, so he'll be going to AFCON, so I'll need to change him anyway.
yeah,
Same with Mbuya. Yeah, there's a number of things that I want to do. It's not that I'm itching per se, but I know the areas that I need to. So, for instance, when I look at my midfield, currently what I have is a midfield that ticks, but there's no real spark as it stands. So, therefore, I need to change something with that. Whether it is that I chase upside with a wild punt or I go with a stalwart. Problem is that at the moment the stalwarts that we all know and love are not really doing it. So we shall see. But yes, I'll definitely use some of the free transfers that we get. I won't max them out within the first week, I don't believe.
I guess it goes on to me now. Um, yeah, look, I won between the three of us, but again, it's nothing to shout home about. Let's be honest. Just beat you by 1 point.
It's
And we
ironic. You won through a DEFCON, which you didn't rate when we started the season, which is good. Like, don't get
yeah,
me wrong. I'm just saying
yeah.
it's ironic.
Listen, I think the funny thing is that the person that's actually been my consistent performer has been the person that got me the game week, which is Richards, right? He's been the shining light in my team. Um, he's consistently got me like 3, 4 points as a minimum every game week, and in most cases got 8 points to me. So he's been a fantastic asset to have at his price point. So yeah, look, he didn't get the clean sheet, of course, but like the other Palace defenders, I think you mentioned before a few weeks ago, they just set up to just absolutely smash the DEFCON points, and I don't see that stopping going forward.
Yep.
Um, yeah, look, it is what it is. I mean, I think Voltameda is definitely a sell at this point. Um, you're playing against Burnley at home and you can't score a goal. It's not a good sign. Um, and you're not on penalties. I might as well bring in a much cheaper mid striker and put the money elsewhere, because what are you really doing for me? Um, goalkeeper, I mean, the goalkeeper situation has been a bit of a nonsense for a few weeks. I've been tight and not wanting to make the change, but that's definitely an area of the pitch that I need to address. Dubravka got me a point, whatever. Hall was on the bench, which is frustrating. I was thrilled when Newcastle conceded a goal, because yourself and Hots had Newcastle assets, and my one didn't start the game. So when he conceded a goal, it was a big win for me. Um, Timber, Arsenal have forgotten how to keep clean sheets now, so he hasn't been getting as high scores in recent weeks. Rogers seems to go back to, early season form, and not kind of getting his goals and assists, although he's playing very well. I thought he played well against Arsenal actually, but he's just obviously not. It's not showing up in the FPL points. Um, Bringing in Foden was obviously a big plus for me. I did mention last week that he does seem to score goals in clutches, and he's in the midst of great form right now. So again, I reiterate to anyone that doesn't hold Foden and maybe thinking, well, he's scored 3 games now, I might have missed the boat. He's still a great asset to have at this point. Man City got great games still, so Haaland was obviously the big blow for everyone. Um, and, once your captain does nothing, you're always kind of thinking, oh, God, it's going to be a horrible week, which it probably, it definitely was. So, yeah, it is what it is. It's been a rotten season. I've not had one single game week where I've said, yeah, it's been a good week. It's been absolutely trash every single week. And at this point in the game, I'm not even thinking about, the top, or I need to just focus on just trying to get some consistency in my team. So unlike you, I'm going to be making big changes pretty soon. I'm not going to wait around. I'll probably be using maybe 3 or 4 at least of the 5 changes straight away, and trying to get some quick gains. So yeah, that's me really. I guess it's a good point really to come back to you, Arc. I know you've been doing some of your usual Statman stuff this week. I'll let you talk about kind of what you're talking about this game week. So yeah, the floor's yours.
Yeah, it's a follow-on from the segment that was in the episode a couple of weeks back. So this is part 2, which will round it up nicely. So obviously we spoke about the concept of ghost points and the reason why defenders are scoring as high as they are in the game this year. Effectively, the game has now started to be built towards them. So they build more bonus points, they build more DEFCON points, yada, yada, yada. So their baseline is very high, meaning that they start with an advantage over any of the attackers, whether it be an attacking midfielder, but particularly the forwards. So what's really started to become evident is we don't really have much coming from our forwards anymore. So the segment this time will be the death of the number 9. So without further ado, let's have a look.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to reflect on the life, the times, and the enjoyment that the striker used to bring to FPL. That's right, part 2, the death of the modern 9. Last time out, we talked about ghost points and how defenders are winning a game that was never built for them. But today, we talk about the other half of the story, the part everyone is struggling to accept. The modern striker is dying. Not because they're worse, but because the game itself has made the role almost impossible to thrive in. Think about what you've seen this season. Forwards with great XGI, blanking. Strikers with high involvement, vanishing. Penalty box specialists, getting one chance a match. Target men, used like furniture in the final third. And the points? They're going to defenders and midfielders, not the 9. And this is down to tactical shifts. This isn't variance. This isn't bad finishing. This isn't about confidence or lack thereof. This is what happens when a league evolves away from the striker. Let's take a look at the reasons. Number 1, teams are generally built to starve the striker. Modern defending is built around one idea: deny the ball to the 9. How did they do this? Compressed mid-blocks. 3 centre-backs covering central lanes. Inverted full-backs crowding the half spaces. And aggressive screening from the 6. All of these are traps to force the play wide and into centre-backs who are eagerly waiting to engage early, not react late. Sorry, Van Dijk, no more aura farming. The striker is isolated the moment the ball arrives. Touch under pressure, back to goal, limited space, limited angles. It's all tactical starvation. And number 2, the forward isn't the finisher they once were. 20 years ago, the striker was the tip of the spear. Now, they're the first presser, the link man, the decoy runner, the space creator. The finishing comes from the left winger, cutting inside, the inverted fullback, overlapping, the number 8 arriving late, and the second wave at the back post. Everyone's scoring, except the striker. Number 3, build-up play is a lot more slower. Teams don't gamble anymore. Moves are built patiently, mechanically, intentionally. That means fewer fast breaks, fewer chaotic rebounds, fewer loose balls, fewer scrambles, fewer 1v1s, fewer high-speed moments where a number 9 traditionally does their best work. Everything is measured, everything is managed, and slow attacks, they favour structure, not strikers. And number 4, the XGI is disappearing from their zone. And this is a big one. Expected goals used to be concentrated around the striker. Now it's spread across wide forwards, attacking midfielders, advanced fullbacks, late runners and rotational patterns. The striker is no longer the apex of the attack. They're a node in a bigger machine. And number 5, when they do get chances, they're under immense pressure. The average Premier League striker now takes most of their shots under pressure in crowded boxes with defenders within touching distance and from worse angles and fewer clean touches and fewer repeat chances. The margin for error is microscopic, and that shows in the returns. So while defenders accumulate BPS through structure, strikers are trying to collect returns through chaos. Thing is, you can predict structure, you can't predict chaos, and that's why defenders are climbing and strikers are falling. So what does this mean for FPL? It means fewer reliable forwards, more benchable 9s, more goals from wide, and more goals from midfield zones. Defenders are becoming stable with repeatable value, and a game where patience with the striker is now punished. The striker drought isn't a blip, it's a reflection. The modern striker hasn't lost the ability. The game has lost the conditions to let them thrive. And unless the league changes or FPL rewrites the rules, we're watching the slow death of a position that used to define football. Statman out.
Yeah, another very good, StatManArc, I've got to say. Completely agree, really, to be fair to you. I think we've said this on the show a few times recently that, the value is in the back line now. And it's certainly something that I'm looking to do when I make my 5 transfers, is to structure it more into the defence and possibly have just one premium striker. Doesn't seem to make sense in having more than one premium up front, really.
Yeah, no, I understand entirely. It's interesting because it runs even deeper than just the forward. It's just attackers in general. So, for instance, the statistic at the moment that is out there, this year, the highest scoring midfielder is Rice. I think he's on 74 points, something like that. At this point last year, Salah was the highest scoring midfielder, and he was 67 points more than what Rice is on now. Like, we even had Saka, he was a centurion at that point. He had even done 100 points as well. So it's a complete flip in terms of what has happened with the game. And as I say in the segment, it's almost as though the forwards, the attackers, have been designed out. So remember last week we were talking about this a little, and you asked the question that do we think FPL will do something next year to try to equalise it? I don't know if they will, but as I said in the segment, unless FPL changes, we're watching the death of the striker. It's pretty simple as that.
So Hots, this is the time when you get something off your chest, your time to breathe and let your anger flow. There's lots of things to talk about this game week in terms of who was the standout Doughnut, but who for you was the one that stood out for you?
Look, I'm not gonna lie, this week I was just pissed. The only thing I got off my chest is trying to get a phlegm, because like I said, I'm ill. In regards to my Doughnut of the week, there was a few candidates, but you know what? You're hosting. It's
sympathy
been a while since
night,
you've been
yeah?
hosting. Well, it's been a while since you've been hosting, and maybe you should do the Doughnut of the week this week.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure I'll know who it will be.
Honoured or offended, but alright.
You know what? It's one of them ones where, if I'm honest, I was so angry after the Arsenal game. I missed a lot of games, and I got a few viewpoints on who it could be, but don't see it as a disrespect. It's actually one of those ones where the Doughnut of the week is my segment, but I'm more than happy to
share.
put it in your to share this week.
Sharing is caring.
And
Sharing is caring.
there you go. Thank you, Art.
Sharing is
Do you know what I
caring.
mean?
Right.
And you know what? To be fair, I'm sure you'll do a good job of it. As I said, I'm not really well as well, so save my voice for the rest of the show. So
Fair enough.
by all means, crack on.
Yeah, look, I think there's a few candidates I could have probably picked out, and I'm sure you probably have the same view. But I think to me, the standout one is Salah for me. You know, I've got
Egyptian king?
the Egyptian king, man. Yeah, like look, I've got a lot of respect for Salah as a footballer, right? Like his status as one of the all-time great Premier League players is cemented in history, and there's no way that can be taken back. But it doesn't matter who you are or what you've done. You know, every game when you step on that pitch, you got to prove yourself again. And some of the things that he came out and said in the press about, you know, he's earned his spot, that certain people alluding to slot, essentially, you know, throw him under the bus, quite frankly, I think are borderline disgusting and disrespectful to Liverpool Football Club, quite frankly. I mean, my opinion is this.
Good club to be disrespected, though.
Yeah, look, I'm, obviously as an Arsenal fan, I'm happy to see it, but like as a neutral, at the end of the day, like, I think Slot, and I'm not Slot's biggest fan, I don't really like the guy, but he's given Salah a lot of rope. Salah's been poor all season. And, you know, we're 14 games in now, and, you know, for 11 or 12 of those games, Salah's been on the pitch for pretty much 90 minutes playing poorly. You know, not working hard, tracking back for the team, labouring through games. And look, Salah's always done that, right? Salah's never been someone that is necessarily
I was going to say that is his role, right? Like
his role.
He's meant to be the offensive.
But that's the thing.
His role is scoring goals.
Exactly. His role is that, okay, you don't defend, cool, but do your job going that way, and he's not. And I think the only reason why he's gone on for this long is because they haven't got Harvey Elliott, who was their other right winger last year, but they haven't got that natural right-sided player, which is probably why he's played for this long. So for him to come out and say these things, I think is bang out of order, quite frankly. And I think that he probably came out in the press and said what he said, hoping that, you know, the tide of the Liverpool fans and the media will be on his side, you know, like they were last year during the contract negotiations. And I think it's backfired. And I think the majority of people, including Liverpool fans, are actually on Slot's side here. That's the feeling I've got from the media. So, you know, I think it's a major own goal for him, and I just don't see any way back for him right now. And a guy who, like I said at the start of this, is cemented in Liverpool history, he's tainted his legacy now. You know, you don't ever want to leave a team in this way. You know, and for all he's done for the club, you want to leave in the right way. And now he's going to similarly probably sneak at the back door in this manner. And he's only got himself to blame, quite frankly. So, quite frankly, to me, he's a donut of the week, in my opinion.
I think he's a donut because I think he went too far with what he said. But I think there was a lot of valid points in what he said.
Such as?
He's not the only person underperforming. Like, we haven't seen Konate pulled out of the team. We haven't seen Van Dijk pulled out of the team. Like, there are a lot of players for Liverpool that are not performing that haven't been pulled out. So I guess, like, he has got a point. It's not like he hasn't scored this season. But what he said, he went too far. Like, I felt sorry for the press reporter. Like, it was a bit wild because you could see that he went completely off script and the guy didn't know what to do. Like, it was almost one of those moments where you should have just hooked him directly, physically. Just said, like, nah, we're not doing none of that.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I think it's difficult for a goated player, like, to accept when things have changed for them. And then that comes down to a man management scenario. But we've seen it all as well. Like, it happened with Aubameyang with us. Like, he's a goated player, and when things change, like, it's very difficult for them to accept. The Salah situation, I think that Salah is still able to offer something, but like you say, it's about putting numbers on the board.
To that point, about, you know, it reminds me a little bit of Ryan Giggs, yeah? Ryan Giggs was a flying wing of Man United, right? When he was young, he was known for his skills, his speed, and there came a point in his career where he didn't have that edge anymore. And what he done was he adapted his game. And I think this is the point in which Salah, you know, can still be an impactful player for Liverpool and for actually most teams. But that slight half a yard he hasn't got anymore, and it's at a point in his career where he has to potentially adapt his game. You know, he's got great quality. He has a high volume of assists, and I think where Giggs was able to adapt and change and be more of a sort of a playmaker and not be that flying winger and change his role in the team. That's what Salah should ultimately be trying to do. Instead, he's thrown his toys at the pram because he feels like I've scored 1 million goals for his club. So look, I'm going through a bad spot. So what? Like I've got 1 million goals behind me, still play me, and that's just not how it works. You've got to work hard for the team. And
problem is, if you're gonna drop the goat, you better deliver results. And
it did. The first game he was dropped, they played West Ham. They won the game. All right, so I think
West Ham, my friend. Like
well,
in any decent game, they haven't won. Right, like I'm saying there is two sides to an argument, right? Like
Sure.
I get it. Like yes, it's just like saying that earlier parts of the season they won with him in the team. Like he scored goals that helped them win as well. So he's.
How many goals has he scored? Because I don't think it's that many.
5, I think.
I don't think he scored a lot of goals.
I don't think he's even got 5, bro.
5 or
I
3.
think you're miscounting.
Maybe it's 3. I think it's 3 goals and 5 assists.
3 sounds
something
more
like that.
it.
Yeah.
It's 3 goals and 1 assist or something poor. It's not 5 goals. But
Oh boy,
yeah, it's not the point. But
he
the
scored
point
goals.
is he isn't.
But I think
Yeah, but
it's
in
difficult
15 games, yeah, you don't expect 3 goals from Salah in 15 games. So,
I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. It's a man management situation as well. Like as a manager, you've got to recognize that okay, maybe his powers aren't what they were anymore. So what can I do to squeeze that little bit out of him? It doesn't appear that he's doing anything to squeeze anything out of him. I also think I've gone out on a limb on many occasions on this show saying that I think Liverpool's problem is in the central area of midfield. And if that isn't there and doesn't platform, it will nullify somebody like Salah, especially if he's in a scenario where he's just that guy that stays as far above as possible. Like they've got other options that they can put on the right, and those options haven't done anything either. So to me, don't get me wrong, I think he is Doughnut. I agree. Like he went too far in what he was saying. Like I always think that those things you keep in house, like you have a conversation or whatever, not, and then if you need to move on, you need to move on, etc. But like coming out publicly saying that, I don't know what he felt he was going to achieve, other than he felt like, oh, I'll just say this, I'll throw a bomb, I'm going to AFCON anyway. Like it's Christmas, he always takes a break after that anyway. Like so, yeah, we'll see where he ends up.
if he's gone in Jan.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's
Like,
got
maybe
4
he's-
he's got
maybe
4
he's
goals
trying
and
to
2
get
assists,
moved.
by the way. 4 goals, 2 assists. Just so you know.
Cool.
But I mean,
So maybe, in 15 games.
yeah.
But maybe he's trying to angle a move. Maybe he's pissed with Salah and he just thinks, you know what? I'm making it public. I want out. Because all this talk about I've never been benched. I've never. What does he say something about being on the bench for a certain amount of time? And he's like, who cares, man? Like you're not delivering. Like if you get benched, you get benched. You might not like it, but people get benched. Maybe others in the team should be getting benched, but they haven't been. You have. So just get over
I
it
think
as far as I'm
I think that
concerned.
his issue came from the fact that I think that he hasn't got an issue with that he was on the bench. I think his issue probably comes from the fact that he's on the bench and the guy hasn't brought him on for a good couple of games. I think that's the extremity that has probably pushed him over the edge, which I can
That's exactly what it
understand.
is, 'cause that's what you said. Yeah.
Yeah, I can
I
understand.
can
because-
Thinks he
only.
could have come on and made a difference. So
I
he's
can only-
thinking, how can I be on the bench and not come on?
I mean,
So-
the West
so
Ham game, he
that's
came on the
what he
pitch,
said.
right? Maybe they've had a disagreement behind the scenes, and that's why he's not playing for the last 2 games. Who knows? But yeah, look, I mean, it's a good segue, I guess, into the next segment that I thought that was quite important to talk about at this point, which is the AFCON, right? Salah is going to be going to Africa Cup of Nations, and it's going to affect a number of teams up and down the country, right? So I thought that now we've got the 5 chips, and again, to reiterate to people that play this game and maybe not aware, you now probably will see from the game we're coming up that you now have 5 transfers available to you, and that's because obviously FPL decides to give you 5 free transfers to navigate the African players who be obviously away now for a number of weeks over Christmas. So I think the first thing we probably should get into around this is some of the players who are obviously going to be going away and how that might affect these teams. I mean, I'll start off, I guess. So obviously Crystal Palace are losing, some important players, most namely, Sarr. Now he has been injured off and on the last sort of 4 game weeks, and Palace have still been able to sort of pick up points. So I think they probably will be okay. West Ham's an interesting one for me. They're losing both of their fullbacks, and they've really been absolutely poor anyway this season. So I think that could, offensively they've been dull as dishwater, West Ham, and at least Diop gives them some sort of offensive output. With him gone, it's not gonna help their cause.
Wan-Bissaka's picked up his form recently too.
Yeah, is there a team on there that kind of stands out to you in terms of like will be most impacted? I'll come at you first, Hots. What team? Sunderland.
Yeah. Out of the teams that we've highlighted on here, I think Sunderland has the biggest impact.
This sounds an interesting one. Obviously, most of those players are obviously on the bench or don't start games. Traore obviously is one of the players that does sort of play most of the games. Tybee as well. But obviously they bought a lot of players this summer, and the ability to now rotate their players around. It'd be interesting to sort of see how they are impacted. Arc.
Look at Arsenal, who's got a massive team, and what we're going through now with injuries. If you look at the numbers that Sunderland are losing, some of them starters, some of them come off the bench in rotation in games. They're going to be stuck with not resting certain players after 60 and doing the rotations that they do. So I think they're going to be impacted the most. Where most other teams, you're losing 1 or 2 stars, and that's it. As you mentioned earlier, with Salah leaving, makes no difference as far as I'm concerned, as he isn't good in the form.
Arc, do you have an opinion in terms of like who you think probably will be hurt the most?
Yeah, I do think that Sunderland will be hurt a lot. I think Fulham will be, and I think Everton will be. With regards to Sunderland, you've got to think that 3 of their most reliable players, I guess, as much as they rotate and some, will be gone. Sadiq will be gone. Benito will be gone as well. And then obviously Traore. You're talking about the anchorman at the back, like their outlet as well. So those things you look at and you think, okay, how are they going to be able to cope with that? Whoever it is that they're going to be bringing in to cover those bases. With regards to Fulham, you've got the new guy that has come in recently that has been scoring goals for fun. You've got Iwobi, obviously, yeah, and you've also got Basie. So you're talking about a defender, a creative, and then you've got an attacking winger. Those are not easy to replace. You look at it and you think, okay, maybe they'll bring Smith Rowe in. Josh King plays a bit more and some, but that's a lot of strength gone. And also, who's the defender that comes in for them? So I expect them to suffer a bit. And with Everton, they've also got a couple of their fulcrums will be gone. The creative hub that is Ndai. So it'd be interesting to see who pens go to now within the Everton setup.
McNeil, we're coming back into that team.
Okay.
And
yeah, and obviously Gay is going as well. So For me, like those are some of the teams that you'd look at and say, let's see over the next 1 to 2 game weeks, and maybe they really are the ones to target as they're trying to get used to life without those players.
I think Man United are an interesting one to me because they're missing some big players. You know, I think that Mbomo's settled in fairly well since going there and giving them something they haven't had for a few years on that right hand side. A bit of balance up top, and Diallo who supports him behind and generally plays on that wing as well. I like Diallo. I like him as a player as well. Mazraoui. I remember Man United fans telling me at the beginning of the year that they thought he was better than Timber, and I was like, what? Do you mean? So he's thought of highly in some quarters, not to me, but so I think there's 3 players there that sorry to cut you hot, but there's 3 players there that
No, go on, bro.
that I think that are they're pretty much starters for Man United. I know that Mazraoui and Diallo they come in and out a little bit, but by and large they play a lot of games for Man United. And Man United already obviously they haven't got Sesko playing right now, and Man United was one of those teams that I was looking at in its 4 or 5 game weeks. They got some decent games. I was going to target them, but I'm a little bit hesitant because I think these 3 players coming out could have an impact in terms of their offensive output. So, I think it'd be interesting to sort of see how they cope without those 3 players. But yeah, go on, Hot, sorry.
No, I just don't really think that. I think Mbomo's the only one that's really going to be missed. Ahmad, he's good, but I think they'll be able to adapt with Darlow on the right. So I think Mbomo's the only real big miss, in my opinion, for United. But we'll see. Good, hopefully they have issues.
Go on.
I've got a different opinion. I think they might actually play better without those players.
Really?
If I'm being brutally honest, I don't think Mboma has done well since he's been there. When I watch him, he doesn't. I've got him in my team because he's a threat. But I don't watch him. Every time I actually watch him in the game, I'm like, is this guy ever gonna score? Like he looks clumsy. He doesn't look like the player that I saw for Brentford.
At Brentford. Exactly.
But obviously that could be that he's more of a system player, or this system that they're asking him to play in is just not his cup of tea. But for me, he looks lost. He keeps drifting into the middle and he's falling over himself.
I think a lot of players are still adapting. And,
Yeah.
Sometimes we can be unfair at our own team, not thinking about the same things about other teams. So he's gone to a new team, he's adapting. We've got players at Arsenal still adapting. So sometimes it's the way it goes. And we won't see the best out of the players for a long run. So I agree with you in the sense of, them going means Bruno Fernandes moves forward. And I think he's always better forward than defensively. So he could become a good asset. I sort of agree with that.
I guess the follow on from this is now these African Cup of Nations players are going. It's probably a good time to look at some of the games coming up for these teams, and I've taken the information from the FPL site and what they term of the teams that had the best fixtures over the next sort of 5 game weeks, which is going to be during the African Cup period. I don't know if I necessarily agree with their grading, but we'll go with it. They've suggested that Brentford have the best sort of run over the next sort of 5 game weeks. You can see for yourself there. That's kind of the sort of like the list, or the top 8 in terms of easiest to then slowly getting more difficult as you go down the list. Looking at this list, now we have our 5 changes in our pocket. Is there maybe players or teams looking at thinking, oh, actually, that's worth attacking and picking players for that team over the next sort of 4 or 5 game weeks? I guess I'll come with you first, Ark. Is there any sort of immediate thoughts that come to mind?
So, because of the players that we gone, a lot of these teams that are termed as the green, for instance, or it's an easy run for a Fulham, for instance, I think that run is not going to be easy.
So for me, I'm looking to target Burnley and Fulham as teams that I need to have attackers against them. Likewise, if I've got anybody that is particularly good wing wise, like I want them against West Ham. I think Newcastle, they've got some good underlying data at the moment, so I think that they should do quite well. Although you all know my mantra about them playing away from home. I, they just don't like travelling. But we'll see. Because some of those games that they've got to travel for are also against teams that it's just a big game. Then against Man U, they're always going to be up for. Likewise against Sunderland, which is probably just down the road from them. City, definitely, yeah. They've got a good run, but I think we're coming into that Christmas period, so there's going to be a lot of rotation. So I think City are going to be a very difficult team to work out which asset you're going to go for. And I guess I will touch on it a bit more when we look at captain's choices, but I think that there is a reason behind why Haaland has stopped firing as much as he has, which is probably controversial, but yeah, we'll go for it. I'm worried about Brentford as well because they've got Dango going, which is always an outlet for them as it stands. So
Does Thiago become even better asset now then? Because
as you said, he's been assisting, and you know, when you got your wingers that are providing you with the ball, who comes in to do that? So it's going to be interesting because we haven't seen it without him on the wing, because he's been a star for them on the wing, hasn't he? So I don't think they can really say that Thiago is going to do well without him there, or do well or not do well without him there. I think it's one of them wait and see ones.
But I think
that's what the catch is.
I think that the ticker is exactly what Guffs has outlined a couple of times, and obviously we've done segments on this also. Like, it's a bit wild. I mean, it's still showing for Burnley that Bournemouth away is going to be a difficult fixture, and it's a green for their home fixtures. And to be brutally honest, I don't look at any of those fixtures and think, yeah, that's an easy fixture for them, or even winnable for them. So it is quite interesting, and it's why it's important for you to be aware and take context of what's actually happening in real life, and not just on the historical data that FPL or any other of these data enriched companies come up with to say, yeah, that's a good fixture or that's a bad fixture type thing. You're probably better off going to the bookies and working out who they think is going to win for a couple of those matches. That will help you out.
I think the difficulty is more this season in particular. The league is so packed, right? I think we look down from like 4th place down to even like 11th, 12th. There's like maybe 4 points. You know, I think you know, I think I did say in this show maybe 4 weeks ago or so that, you know, it depends. Some of these teams, it's just catching them at the wrong time. You know, that's the difference. You know, if they have all their players available, it's a tough game. If they don't, then they're very beatable. And it just comes down to just like injury, suspensions, and these kind of things that can determine how easy or hard these. I think a lot of these teams in Premier League, maybe 10, 12 teams, are all very evenly matched, and there's not a lot between them. And I count even teams like Newcastle in that bunch. So yeah, look, I think that would be very interesting to sort of see how the AFCON players leaving affects some of these contests. I think the Arsenal-Everton game, you know, from an Arsenal perspective, I'm like, that's worked out quite well for us, because Everton away has always been a fairly tough game for us, and them having no Ndiaye and Gay, you know, is a nice little touch for us, albeit it's still going to be a tough game because, you know, Everton, you know, a gritty team, and they, you know, they'll bring our careers and they'll make it difficult for us. But, you know, look, we'll see how it all pans out. But yeah, to your point, I mean, the ticker, I don't really take much notice of that, if I'm honest. I'll take it with a pinch of salt. But I just thought it was interesting because there are some people that do look at the ticker and probably do make choices off the basis of this. So I thought it was interesting, sort of like, to bring it up. But I mean,
can I say one thing?
Sure.
in regards to AFCON. There's teams that are going to go out early, and obviously a lot of the teams that go out early, the players are going to be coming back. So I think this is, yes, I'm happy that we will get the 5 free transfers and it's something different, but I don't think teams are going to suffer for as long as people think, because I think once teams start going out, it's not going to have as much as an impact as these 5 changes that we're able to do are suggesting. But
Yeah,
just wanted to throw that out
I
there.
completely agree with you, but I think the point that Ark made with Fulham is an interesting one, because all their 3 players are Nigerian, right? So like, if Nigeria go far, they've got like, it's all concentrated into one spot, one team, and they've got like 3 players who are not going to come back for the whole entire time. And it's highly possible because Nigeria are one of the favourites, so they're possibly going to be in problems. But I guess
We'll see how far they get.
question I'll come to you then next, Hots, is now we do have these 5 changes. I know you're a person that likes to look far out and make decisions for 3 or 4 game weeks. I mean, do you have thoughts about people that you're
What
targeting?
5 changes?
Yeah, that you're going to make.
What 5 changes?
Oh, okay. So you've done it already, yeah?
What 5 changes?
Say no
Don't tell you I
more.
was vexed.
Say
Understand?
no more. Done your changes, yeah?
And you're sitting here talking about, oh yeah, I'm looking to do it early. You've done changes too. I mean,
Have I?
I'm in a four.
All
Because
right.
your prices are going to go up. So you have. And if I look back when next week comes and I look at the dates you did them, when I click on your team, I'm going to be right. So you told me I'm wrong now,
We'll see, won't we?
that you haven't done any changes.
Hey, I don't neither deny or confirm anything right now. I don't.
Alright.
So yeah.
Because if I look on the team next week, it will say the time and date when the changes were made, and it will be before this date.
Honestly, I haven't made a change yet. To be truthful with you,
You've made 0 changes
I've
so
made
far.
0 changes so far. Partly because I haven't had the time to make the changes, and also because
Okay.
for me, because I am so far behind, I want to be a bit more measured. Of course, I'm gonna probably lose out on some money here and there, and I accept that. But because a lot of the players that are doing well are priced pretty low, 6 million, I don't think money's gonna be a massive issue, because I'm not trying to
Okay,
chase the
I stand
salaries.
corrected.
But I haven't made any changes yet. That's
Okay, I stand corrected.
So-
I assumed and I was wrong. So
so I have.
saves me looking up your time stamps and all that. And if you blagged me, then it's worked. Because now I'm not going to bother checking.
So
No,
are you
I
keeping
stand
your card?
corrected.
I'm getting seeing you keeping your card close to your chest in terms of who you put in your team. But like,
I don't think it's relevant for me to go through my team right now, because I don't want to influence anyone in our rivalry.
okay,
Yeah.
that's
But there's obvious players.
that's fair enough. But I guess okay. So a different question I would ask you then is, I mean, have you thought about applying a different strategy then? Because we spoke earlier on about attackers maybe not being as effective this time round in this year. Have you kind of made your changes with that in mind?
I don't know if I totally look. So for me, yes, I agree that the defense and stuff like that is a strong area. But I'll also say this for people to have an open mind. What top midfielders have been getting loads of goals? So you've got people like Saka, Palmer, whoever else people want to consider the top midfielders for Salah.
Bruno.
These guys haven't been scoring goals. So people, as Art mentioned, like Rice is up there. And you've got people like Rice up there right now. But if these guys do start scoring goals, surely they're just going to go past them. So I'm not sure if it's literally just a thing of the new rules have changed and it's going to mean that after 38 games, the defenders are top. Or if midfielders, stroke strikers start to perform, whether they'll get back in the lead and advance. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But on paper, you've got to look at it for what it is, and the defence is suggesting that defence, get points. But I think some midfielders or potentially some strikers will start getting those goals. And if they do, then the points will rise. So I don't know if I won't tell people to just ignore midfield or strikers and just go out and get 5 of the top defenders. But at the same time, I understand if you go out and get defence because that's where the points are seeming to be right now.
Okay. That kind of nicely goes on to our next point, I guess. I'll come back to you, I guess, Hot. Captain choices. I mean, have you thought about maybe who you might go for this game week? Some interesting games this week.
Yeah.
I mean, who are you?
There's many choices in my opinion. Obviously, what we've seen is Wolves are the target team, and Arsenal's playing them. So I'm sure a lot of people will be thinking Saka because he's not hit the levels that he's due to hit and potentially could in this game. Other Arsenal attackers, I think Gyökeres will probably start this game week. I think it's a good game for him to come back and get starting. Maybe a good thing for him if he gets some goals under his belt. Haaland, he hasn't scored for a few games, so people might be thinking, oh, Arsenal, and then while they're thinking of alternatives, Haaland just goes and gets a hat-trick against Palace. He doesn't care who he's playing against, and everyone's gone against him, and it's the wrong week. So, it's an interesting game week for captains. It's always going to have to be including Haaland, but it's out of Haaland and potentially one of my Arsenal players, or I think those are the two teams I'm going to pick from going into it. Obviously, people have Haaland, Foden, who's in great form. He's in outshining Haaland every week, right? There's nothing that says he can't do it again.
Okay.
But yeah, those are my two.
Ark, you have any thoughts?
Definitely think it's a differential week. Not sure whether I'm going to go for a differential myself, but I can see the upside in many. I think Thiago is a fairly safe bet with good underlying numbers. He's playing Leeds, they're at home. Brentford at home are historically good this season. Haaland obviously has a ceiling, but as I said earlier, I've got a theory around Haaland. So at the start of the season, I talked about the fact that Haaland starts off very strongly, and usually he's okay until he gets an injury. But I didn't speak of the other thing where we have seen Haaland stop scoring. When he does, it usually coincides with Foden doing well. Because if you remember back to the season where Foden, I think where he won Player of the Year or whatever not, it's one of the issues that I talk about with him often. So everybody gets excited because he's got tech and so on and thinks that because of that, he's a cam. Like, he's not cam. Like, he's a goal scoring 8. He is a player that primarily he thinks about shift and shot. Like, he doesn't think about picking out a pass. So Haaland doesn't get anything with him. And you've seen it over the past 3 game weeks. I think over the past 3 game weeks, there are 2 game weeks where Haaland's had 1 shot. So for the first time this season, he's actually underperforming against his XG expectation. And I believe that it will continue because it's clear when Pep talks, he believes that Phil is back to where he needs to be. So he's clearly going to play. And when he plays, Haaland generally, I'm not saying that he won't score, but he generally doesn't score at the rate that he was previously. And because of that, it will impact what I do captaincy-wise with him now. That said, another wildcard pick would be Watkins. Obviously, he's got a good mix of form. He's got fixtures as well. So he'd be a decent underlying punt if you have him. Yes, Saka is the only steady, reliable person from Arsenal that you can really
pick at the moment as a captain choice. He'd be safe. You're probably looking at anywhere between 8 to 12 points from him. And then you'd hope that the rest of your team obviously platforms and does what it needs to do. Palmer, I don't think he's ready yet. The fixture is not the easiest one in the world, and I suppose if you really wanted to go for a wildcard pick, you could go for a Mateta. I don't think Rodgers is his week, but again, obviously there is Foden out there. So from my perspective, personally, it will be between Haaland and Saka. I'm not sure whether I'm brave enough to go Thiago. However, data might convince me. As I said, I'll be using it to help me justify decisions that I'm making going forwards. But yeah, for me, it's definitely a week where there is a lot of mix between people that are safe, a good ceiling, or have got good underlying data. And I think we're probably going into that period where more and more there is a reason to go against Haaland.
Yeah, I think I agree with mostly what you both have said. There's something telling me that this might be that one game that Gyökeres does bits. It's just like a little nagging voice in my head that says he's going to start and he's going to do something. But my problem I have with Gyökeres is that he's not in my plans for my 5 transfers in. And beyond this game week, I don't really have much use for him because I don't think he's going to be something that he'll be able to continue long term. But but for people that maybe have got Gyökeres in their team or bring him in, I think that he's an interesting one and could be one of those real wild cards. He's our record striker.
Who's going to be Arsenal's main striker?
Do you know what I mean? So I think
I don't think Moreno will stay up top. I think Gyökeres just goes back up top.
Yeah.
When Havertz is back and he's actually able to play, I don't think he's going to just replace Gyökeres either. So I think now Gyökeres is back and he's had a run out. He's going to...
Yeah.
Well, we'll see. But I think Gyökeres will actually... I don't even think Havertz is going to be on a bench against Wolves.
No, he won't.
But yeah, anyway.
I suppose what I was touching on was just long-term wise what you were saying. I think in reality Gyökeres has got a battle on because I think you're going to get into a situation where we hopefully have 3 to 4 attackers that he can put in that striking position. And I think that's where we'll start having issues in terms of the rotation and so on. Yeah, those are things to come, I guess.
This is a key period for Gyökeres, you know, and one thing I get the sense from him is that he's a competitive person. Do you know what I mean? He's someone who, you know, wanted this move and wanted to prove himself and wanted to show he can do it at this level, and he knows, you know, we're talking about it. He knows that Havertz is getting close. Jesus has been on the bench a few times. You know, the window for him to sort of cement that striking berth is getting smaller and smaller because I think that if he doesn't start to score goals over the next 3 or 4 game weeks, then, you know, it's given Arteta more reason to say, look, Havertz is the number 1 striker, which I think that's what he wants, quite frankly. So I think this is a key period for Gyökeres, and I think that he will be, you know, eager and aggressively trying to get himself going right now in this period of time. We'll see if I'm right, but I just got this funny sense that he's gonna do stuff against Wolves, and Wolves again are a really poor team, or clearly the worst team in the league. But yeah, captain choices. I think that, you know, it's Saka or Haaland for me, and I'm going to say that I probably just will shade Saka for this game week. I think that he will make some returns, and I think Haaland will score. But I think I can see Saka getting a goal and assist maybe.
You see Saka starting against Wolves.
Yeah, I think he'll start. I think at this stage of the season, now the gap's down to 2 points. There's no time to play games. Even if you are playing Wolves, okay, we ain't got no buffer right now. Every game is a final right now, right? So,
2 points.
Yeah, but psychologically, I don't want to see us be second in the league. Do you mean? I just don't want to see that. I think that
Remember
it's
what I
important.
was saying about Arsenal supporters and their really weird expectations? You don't want to see us second in the league.
No, I
It's
think
just December, bro.
no, I get that, but when you've been leading by 5 points, 6 points, 7 points, not too long ago, to now be second in the league, I think psychologically seeing that, I don't know
Six games ago we weren't leading, right?
what,
We were the ones behind and everybody was complaining. Uh,
yeah,
it's a title race.
I
Enjoy
get,
it.
yeah, I get it's tough, but we haven't won yet. I think that if you're Liverpool, you're
Neither
Man
is
City.
anyone else. He's talking
No, but
about City smelling the title
no,
already.
but if you're Liverpool or City and have been there and done that, they're not carrying around this scent of bottle jobs. I'm not saying we're bottle jobs, but that scent
Oh wow.
that scent is around our club, right? There are
Like
other,
we bottle jobs. We've won the Premier League.
you know what I mean, right? In recent history, okay, people claim that we've bottled it and haven't fulfilled our destiny,
No.
right? So I think whether or not we want to admit it here or not, there are lots of people out there who have this perception of Arsenal, right? And I think that if we start dropping down to second in the league and stuff, I think those noises will grow. Hopefully, it
And
doesn't.
then what happens? You'll lose your arsehole.
Not me. I'm just simply saying that we can't ignore what exists out there, right? Um, I don't
Fair
want to
enough.
see us drop down second in the league. I want us to remain top and to build again.
Neither do I, to be completely
I,
honest. I
I, I
think
don't
that
want us to be like
the
Ethiopian pace setters either.
No, I want us to put our foot down on the throat. But the point I'm trying to make is about Arteta and his mentality into these games going forward. I think he's going to be putting his
well, you saw the
strongest.
players look shattered on the floor. The Arsenal players on the floor shattered. Look, dumbstruck, just sad. Um, I want to see a bounce back against Wolves. Don't want to hear no excuses of a draw, the injuries. It's Wolves. We've got to go out there and batter them, and then just continue trying to go on another run,
Yeah,
and then we shall see the title race unfold. But I will say this: um, I don't want to be a draw against Wolves, City win, and now we're second leave or something like that. So I agree with you, Guffs. I don't know the mentality of the team if we drop into second. I'm not saying that I'm gonna have a meltdown or anything like that. But what I am saying is, I think I'd rather stay top than go second. That's just why would I want to go into second place? So yeah, I agree with you. I'd stay top.
So yeah, so I mean, quickly moving on, I guess to the game of the week. I mean, on paper, I guess City, Palace, positionally is probably the game of the week in that respect. But I think it's a time where Derby this weekend. It's a huge game. I think it's a televised game, and I think the people up north, the so-called people that I hate, will be after me in Arc's words. So I think the game of the week to me is
Or are you in
Not,
Newcastle
not
this
my
weekend?
words, they were your words.
Or Sunderland?
Right?
I think
Remember last
Newcastle's.
week you said you don't lie?
No, I don't lie.
Yeah, but in my words, yeah?
Well, you keep poking
Yeah.
the bear and saying that oh, Newcastle.
I'm not
But anyway,
poking it. You said it on wax.
yeah. But I defended Newcastle. Do you mean when you were
Yeah.
calling them Wimbledon?
Just not on camera, though.
I was saying
On
that
camera,
they
you
play
hate
man football. But anyway, yeah, Newcastle Sunderland is a big game this week. Game week. Yeah, an interesting game. I mean, I guess I'll start on this one and then let you guys just finish up. But yeah, derbies, can go either way. We know this. I think these are very evenly matched teams. I think going into this season, we probably would have thought this would have been a landslide, right, for Newcastle. But obviously, Sunderland have shown that they can compete against the best teams in this league. You know, Sunderland going to the game above Newcastle. They're at home. Will the occasion get to them? Possibly. But I'm going to go for a score draw here. I think it'll be a passionate, lively game, lots of tackles, a midfield battle, and I'm going to go for 2-2. That's my prediction here. What's your thoughts, Hots?
2-1 Newcastle.
Okay. Ark, any thoughts?
Much like I said from the AFCON scenario, I think
that if they're not going into this game hampered, they will be hampered in the back of their mind in terms of what they'll be missing, etc. Yes, I agree with you. It'll be passionate. I think that Newcastle's attack is an odd one. They seem to underperform. Well, not they in general, but Voltamade does. He underperforms. His XGI is only like 1.85 or something over the last 4. But his creative data is very good. So I suppose he's one to watch, but he's frustrating. You've already touched on it, that he's no longer on pens, that kind of thing. But I think maybe the inroads that Newcastle can make here are on the wings. Like, they've got Barnes, they've got Murphy, they've got Gordon is back now, or John McEnroe as I call him. So we know that their midfield will be able to handle the kind of stuff that Sunderland do. So from that perspective, to me, it leans towards a Newcastle. But it's a derby, it's the first one they've had for a while, so it's effectively an explosive friendly, right? So I'm going for a draw. I think it will end up 2-2.
Desmond.
Desmond, as I would call it. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. So I guess that goes on to to the league table. With a little touch on that right now, I guess, and see sort of where we are after a very busy period so far. And obviously, there's more games to come. Peaky Blinders is still leading at the top. I wouldn't say the best week for him, but it's solid, I guess. He leads by 15 points at the top there. Gonna Win, who's sort of been in and about there for a long time, is waiting to pounce. So yeah, I mean, we've seen those 5 names pretty much all season long, pretty much. So it'd be interesting to sort of see how that changes over the next few game weeks. For us, obviously, Hots has kind of dropped back a little bit. Obviously, still doing the best at the 3 of us. Got a lot of ground to make up. I mean, I've got more, but he's got 100 or so points to kind of get to the top of the league. That's his ambition still. Yeah.
It's my ambition, bro.
Again, Ark and myself struggling in a fold right now, and then second in the lower half of the table. So I'm sure he'll agree with me that we need to sort of obviously try and change that narrative. And yeah, I guess the bottom of the league. Again, like the top of the league, similar names at the bottom. Evangelius and Demons is rooted to the bottom there. He's got a lot of ground to make up. Had an okay week, to be fair. Made some ground, to be fair to him. And I think he or she, whoever you are, need to, keep that going. And I'm interested to sort of see, now we've got our 5 changes, how that changes things up. Will some of these teams at the bottom start to make a charge? Will we start seeing some new names down there? So yeah, I'm looking forward to sort of seeing if we start to sort of see some different names at the top and at the bottom. But when we get to January, Glim, you were doing so well, my friend, and you seem to be, edging back toward that dreaded bottom slot. So don't do it. Turn it around. The highest points is game week. Dawnbreaker absolutely smashed it this week with 91 points. Yeah, I mean, 91 points in this game week is a very, very, very high score. Especially when lots of Hots are getting 39 points. So, well done to you. Kudos.
Like he would say, little jabs.
Getting why I can, Hots, innit?
I don't cry about them.
Getting why I can.
Yeah, it's cool, bro. I mean,
and of course, when there's winners, there are losers. And 2 Peak for you had an absolutely atrocious week. Interesting enough, I was looking at the table yesterday, and I was seeing Arc was on 27 points. I was like, rah! And I saw, luckily, his bench come through for him, but it was looking shaky for you for a little bit there.
Not lucky at all. That's why I've got the squad.
And like you said, we're this week 5 points between us, 5 between me and you, Guffs, and 1 between you and Ark. So it's very close.
It was.
All week, all round. To be fair, but you get the bragging rights, and that's why you're in the middle screen.
And looking at the biggest shakers and movers this week, Dawnbreaker, not surprisingly given that his score has rocketed up the league 12 spots from 49th to 37th, so well done to you. Rice and Racks, I think for the second time in 3 game weeks, has been the biggest dropper, moving down another 14 spots. It wasn't so long ago that you was sort of in the top sort of 13 places, so yeah, you're in a bit of a slide there, my fella. So yeah, it's fellas, almost an upwards. More games to come in December, and we've all got obviously reset and go again. I mean, how are you feeling about your chances in FPL? Have you given it a go now, Ark? Are you just in pride mode, or where's your head at?
Quite a while ago that clearly I'm not going to win FPL this year. So it's one of those scenarios where I think there is much to be gained. And ultimately, we're doing this podcast. Like, nobody can be going out at this kind of level. That's unacceptable. So we'll see what we can do. All I know is that I'll perform better than Erdegaard.
And Hots, before I go, how are you feeling about the rest of the season? Are you sort of mildly confident? Are you aggressively confident? Are you sort of slightly concerned about how it's going?
It's not been the greatest of starts, but I've got that never say die mentality, and I believe just 1 game week ago I got up to 15th, and the points are close. If I didn't do the stupid free hit, it might have been a bit better. But yeah, I am where I am now, and I'm going to be aiming for green arrows, and I'm going to climb as high as I can. I usually aim for the Champions League spots, so that's what my aim is going to be still, until I'm in a position where I believe it's impossible to do so.
Okay. Well, look, I mean, before we go, the usual.
You?
Me?
What about you?
Oh, me? Yeah, of course, me.
Yeah,
Look,
you. What are you giving up?
look, my focus.
You're hosting today.
He assumes that I'm giving up the ghost. So bloody hell, I don't know where you are. You're already in the grave.
You might go on a run. You're hosting this week. Are you thinking that this is the start
Look,
of a revival? What's your views?
for me, I'm on the canvas right now. Do you know what I mean? And it's 6, 7, and I'm getting up. Do you know what I mean? So that's kind of my mentality right now. Like I'm not down and out yet, but it's looking really, really rocky right now for me. I'm at a point right now in my team where this is the point where I have to turn it around. I'm looking at, let's get through December, and I need to be, I'm currently basically 200 points behind the top slots right now. I need that to be 150, 140, that kind of, at least. Do you mean? I'm looking to just to use this period to kind of just close it down and get into a respectable spot, get in the top half, and go from there and attack the second half of the season. There's still over half the season to go, so there's no reason to feel that everything is lost, albeit it looks very bad right now. But this is a very important period for me right now, and I need to get my changes right. So I'm just focused on making the right changes in this period, and hopefully that can propel me to be back in somewhat of the game. And that's it. Do you know what I mean? That's how I feel about it. But to everyone out there that's watching the podcast, again, we say it every week, but thank you very much for supporting our podcast. It means a lot. And to those that watch and don't subscribe, listen, it just takes 1 second to press a simple button, and it means the world to us. So, please do, support the show, subscribe. And if you are a subscriber, let people know. Spread the word, spread the love. We put a lot of effort into trying to provide you guys with data and information, and entertainment hub as well. So the support is much appreciated. Again, we'll be coming to you again next week with with more chatter and more breakdown of the coming game week. And yeah, as we approach Christmas, stay safe. Don't get caught in the Christmas rush. Don't leave it too late. Do you know what I mean? Like I do sometimes. And yeah, take care of yourself. Hots, Arc. We go again.
Truth be told, when I wonder what the future holds,